Guys, what's up? It's Kradenan here with my Invoke Mekk-KNIGHT Dragoon deck profile because Dragoon is meta shaping, it's a meta shifter. We're going to be seeing this card in almost every single deck in any shape, way, or form, whether it's tier 1, 2, or 3, and I felt like I wanted to show you guys my variant of this build and just a lot of success I've been having with it, and just wanted to share it on to you guys so you can go ahead and modify this to what works for you. So anyways, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I did have a question for you guys. Are you happy for Dragoon? Do you feel like he shouldn't have come at all? Do you feel like because we don't have any physical events, it's fine? How do you feel about this card overall? So guys, don't forget to, keep watching. I guess I said everything. So starting off the list, we have 3 Alistair the Invoker. On the normal summon, he's going to search out your invocation, and on top of that, he can boost one of your fusions by 1000 attack and defense, which does come in handy every now and then. Following that, we're playing the Mekk-KNIGHT package, which is 3 purple. You can go ahead and target one of your Mekk-KNIGHTs. If it resolves, it gets banished until your next standby phase, which is not a return. It just returns, it's not a chain. And then you get to search out another Mekk-KNIGHT that isn't purple. So you can go ahead and target himself, search out a blue, and then blue will search based on your opponent's column. So if your opponent has 2 cards in their column, you can go ahead and add 2 Mekk-KNIGHTs from your deck to your hand. But it has to be exactly to how much they have. So if they have 3 cards in their column and you don't have 3 different Mekk-KNIGHTs that isn't blue, so you don't have like purple, indigo, and like yellow, for example, then you can't use his effect. You can still special summon him, but his effect cannot resolve because you don't have 3 legal targets in your deck. And then the final card is Mekk-KNIGHT Indigo. Her whole purpose of him is that you can special summon him, effect to move him, and then special summon another Mekk-KNIGHT. He's also level 8, he's a pretty good beater at 2400, just overall kind of useful depending on the variant, but I just like playing him for the moving effect. I also play Dingirusu because these 2 are level 8. I did stop playing that for this variant. I'm still debating if I want to somehow throw him in for different reasons. Following that, we're playing 1 copy of Prinkatops. We're primarily going second. It's a 1-up. If you see it, you're lit. If you don't see it, it doesn't really hurt too much. And it's never really a dead card unless they have an empty board. So again, always good to have 1. When he was at 3, I wasn't a big fan of playing him, but at 1, it's like, why not, right? 3 copies of Phantasmate. I think links are still like the most dominant thing in the format. I highly recommend everyone get Phantasmate, especially now that he's a super rare. Even if he's like $2 or $3, buy yourself a set. It's just too good of a card because everyone's link summoning him. And now that he's so affordable, if your opponent activates, well, summons like Needle Fiber, okay, slap down the Phantasmate. Cool, you get 2 cards and you put 1 back that might be dead. And in this deck, because you are playing 2 technical bricks, you do want to make sure you utilize that. I'm playing 2 Ash and 2 Ogre. I know some people still don't like my 2-2 thing, and that's mostly a personal opinion because I'm playing a lot of 2-Ovs, as you can see. I like seeing Ash, but I don't like seeing multiple copies of Ash. Same thing with Ogre. I like seeing Ogre, but I don't want to see multiple copies, and I feel like I see them enough. If I feel like I just never draw Ash or I never draw Ogre, then yeah, obviously my numbers would change in this case, but I think this is fine because again, with Phantasmate, I'm always drawing, I'm going into my deck a bit more, I'm always getting, a bit of hand repair. And also, it's not like these are the only hand traps I'm playing, technically speaking. And then the 2 bricks is Dark Magician and Red Eyes Black Dragon. We can't really do much with them. You could technically do something with Red Eyes if you're playing the Red Eyes Wyvern. I'm not in this variant. I'm still debating if I want to find a way to do it. I just think that right now, this is fine. I don't feel like playing that variant. 1 Terraforming for the Magical Meltdown. So what Magical Meltdown says is that your opponent cannot negate the activation of your fusion cards. So for example, if I activate Invocation, they cannot negate it with Judgment, but they can still like chain call by the grave and kill the Alistair in my graveyard. The other thing is on the activation of it, you are able to search out Alistair the Invoker, and then obviously this is going to search out your Invocation. Basic things. Good 3 of, even though it's once per turn, you just need to see Alistair. 3 copies of Invocation. I'm still playing 3 copies of it because I always want to see it one way or another. If I'm in a position where I need to go first, even though we do have Dragoon, I need to make sure I have a Macabre Negate ready, or an Augustus for the OTK, which again, people really underestimate this card, and I'll talk about it more in a little bit. Invocation is just always good. I think 3 is fine. You can cut it down to 2. I just don't advise it because we just have so many monsters and so many things going to graveyard nonstop. And everyone's, like, your opponent's graveyard is always going to be filled up with different types anyway, so I think it's fine at 3. 2 copies of Super Poly. I think that right now we can go ahead and put this back in the main. As you guys have known, I've said it a couple of times. I don't know if I feel it right now. I feel like I used it more on my own monsters to OTK, which is perfectly fine, honestly speaking. But I never felt like I was getting it out of my opponent's utilities. I'll talk about it more when we get to the extra deck portion, but we are running a couple cards that interact really well with Super Poly, and I'm pretty sure you guys can see one of them. One, Red Eyes Fusion. I'm not looking to draw this and hard use it. I feel like I have better options for that, and I feel like I don't want to hard use it because then I'm locked in for the turn. I'd rather get it done through Anaconda. This is something that you can change. You can go ahead and cut the Super Poly, put this to 3. You can cut like... You can pretty much cut any 3 cards or 2 cards that you don't like here and throw in 2 more Red Eyes Fusions. I like it at 1 because I've been playing Neos Fusion at 1 and it's never really hurt. Like, oh, I draw one of these guys, draw Phantasme, put them back in the deck. It was like fine 90% of the time. Just make sure these aren't in your graveyard because similar enough, you can't fuse from the graveyard with these guys using Red Eyes Fusion. 1 copy of Instant Fusion. I'm so iffy on this card because it's kind of like Hornet Drones to me, where it's a 1 card hard draw. And I know I've been kind of like skeptical about Hornet Drones in the past, where I will always like, oh, but I have to dedicate a whole extra deck space for this 1 card that's not searchable anymore because Engage got banned. I just think that Instant Fusion when I draw is just so much value. Being able to either beta negate or take a resource from your opponent and then make your own column is just too free to not utilize way more often. So Instant Fusion still at 1. You can use it through Anaconda if you really need to. I don't recommend it because then you're locked in for the turn, but sometimes that is what you need to do. 2 copies of Desires. Yes, I'm playing the Red Eyes package. Yes, I don't want to use this, but if I have to use it, if I'm losing that turn anyways, I'm just going to use Desires. If I banish these 2 off of it, I'm probably going to lose that turn. I'm probably going to lose that game anyways, or I win off of the Desires draws. That's all that matters. 2 copies of Call by the Grave. If you're going second, I think you should be playing 2. If you're going first, you should be playing 3. That's my decision all the time and always my opinion. If you're not going second deck, and you don't really need, if you're going second deck and you don't really need your ads, like you don't really need to search off Invocation or Alistair or the Mekk-Knights, then yeah, you can cut this out. But because I'm terrified of Ash and Ogre, I still need to run these, even at 2. 2 Cosmic Cyclone. I will still say until the day of like Mystic Mind's ban, you should always be playing Cosmic Cyclone or MST or Twin Twisters at 2, at least at 2, if not 3. We're in an Eldritch format. Dogmatica has back row now. We need to be more precautious about our back rows and what we can do. You want to make sure that if you're hit with like a Mystic Mind, you have an out to it. A lot of people aren't maining this, so a Mystic Mind is an instant out because obviously monsters can't use their effects. 1 Mind Control. It's a 1-of again. We're playing like, what, 4 1-ofs, but they're all good 1-ofs. This is a blank card. It's basically your 4th copy of Meltdown. This is going to be a 2-for-1 always. You're going to either kill a monster and then bait out a negate or get another negate out. And then Instant Fusion, you just take out one of your opponent's monsters. Mind Control, you just take that monster. And then 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Self-explanatory. It's another negate. It's good. It's good to go in first and second. I don't really see conflicting with Phantasme too much, because you can always do Chainlink 1, Phantasme, Chainlink 2 Impermanence, and that's a legal thing to do because Phantasme has not hit the board yet. It's still technically in your hand trying to resolve, and Impermanence will resolve in that case. So it's always been a good option for me. So moving into the extra deck, we do play 2 copies of Makaba, where you have a lot of light targets, really easy to get to. Secure Garden is one of them. We're playing 2 copies of Purgatrio. We have Almirage as a fire target, and the one thing I've been doing is link climbing a lot. So I'll like link climb into Boral Sword, activate Invocation again, get rid of one of the Purgatrios in the graveyard, and like an Alistair somewhere. Usually the Alistair link is the case, and make a Boral Sword Purgatrio, and that's game 99% of the time. I will say that I will always play 2 on, I think. It just feels good, and it's always like a good option. 1 copy of Augustus. We do play a lot of fusions. We don't really want to banish any of them, but the whole thing is like on the summon, if you have Meltdown on the board, you get to pop something for free, and on top of that you can banish one of your fusion cards in the graveyard and boost his attack. Getting this guy to 4,500 by banishing a Makaba just feels so good to game with that a lot of the time. 1 copy of Elysium. So the reason why I'm playing Elysium is because we kind of have like this thing where it's like Dogmatica invoked, we have Eldritch invoked, we have a lot of invoked variants right now. And if I'm able to use this off my opponent's monsters, it's just free. And if not, I can always just have like an invoke monster on the board. For example, Augustus, pop something on the board, then activate Super Poly, take one of their extra deck monsters, and then take Augustus, and then boom, I have Elysium, which can further disrupt their board or just win the game. I just think like as long as I play Super Poly, I'll be playing Elysium, just kind of my personal thing. I know a lot of people don't. It's been in and out in my deck, but I just feel like with everything being so special summoned from the extra deck heavy, it doesn't feel bad to have. One Dragoon or Red Eyes, for obvious reasons we're only playing one Red Eyes Fusion. If you decide to play multiple copies of Red Eyes Fusion, I don't recommend. You could play 2 Dragoons. I mean, the problem is you can't really recur these back into the deck. But hey, if you want to do it. If you're playing Powder Deck Extravagance, then yeah, you have to play 3, unfortunately. Dragoon is good. It's fantastic. It's amazing going first and second. It gives more new life to Invoke, because if you have ever played Invoke and with the Neos build, you realize Neos is great, but going first, it's the worst engine, and I feel like I side it out way more often. Now with this list, I feel like I don't want to side out these 3 cards, because this is almost always live one way or another. 1000 Eyes Restrict for the instant fusion, as I mentioned. 1 Starving Venom for the super poly. Now, this is where people are going to be like, why are you playing a construct? You don't have any Shadal cards. It takes 1 Shadal monster and 1 light monster. I feel like if you're playing the Dogmatica Invoke variant, this is the best way to counter them. They're probably going to have a window with a Macabre on board, like 99% of the time. All you have to do is super poly them away, and congrats, you have a construct, so you have a free monster on board. You got rid of 2 giant threats, which is the window and Macabre, and you're just living life like yourself. Or you can go into Elysium if you want to. You have all these options. I just think construct is fine. You could change this into the Adagnister Golem, which takes 1 Link and 1 Cybers monster. I just feel like construct is a bit better for now. This can change. This will likely change, because we don't have a way to play the Shadal engine unless we're playing the Shadal fusions, which I don't want to do right now. I don't want to make this that fusion intensive. But again, this is something I'm testing. It's been working out, but it's not for everybody. 1 Almirage for the Link 1 Alistair. 1 Secure Garna to go into from Almirage. 1 Verde Anaconda for the obvious Red Eyes Fusion. Also your Super Poly and Instant Fusion if you ever need that for whatever reason. 1 Alistair the Invoker of Madness. You're going to be using him a lot. I feel like a lot of the time I just OTK through Borosword and Purgatrio, or Borosword and Macabre. That's a lot of the time, that's enough. And same thing, Borosword Dragon. That's the extra deck. This, like I said, can be changed for anything else. If you don't want to play the Super Polys, you can cut out the Starving Venom and the Elysium for some other alternatives. Maybe like a couple Nightmares and an Axis Code Talker. That wouldn't be too bad. Moving on to the side deck. This is different for everybody. This one's up to you. I personally play 3 Nibiru. I still think Nibiru is really good right now. 2 copies of Dark Ruler and more. This could be Forbidden Droplet. I just think that as of right now, I kind of like Dark Ruler a little bit more. Only because I don't want to waste resources from my hand. The problem with this deck is that you can't really give up your resources from hand that easily, because we don't really benefit much from it except for like Invocation, but I don't know, that's just me personally. I'd rather wait an extra turn, set up the Dragoon, and win the following turn after that. 2 copies of Lightning Storm. You can cut 3rd Super Poly if you want for the 3rd copy of Lightning Storm, or 1 of the copies of Nibiru for the 3rd copy of Lightning Storm. It's up to you. This could be Twin Twister as well if you're on the more budget end of things. I like Lightning Storm, it's good, but I feel like whenever I played it at 3, I always drew 2 of them, or top deck the second one, and I was just like, what am I supposed to do now? Up to you, this could be whatever. Consider this like the filler spot. 3rd copy of Super Poly in case I know for a fact they're playing the Invoke Shadal variant with Dogmatica, or if I feel like I need to do something else. Again, kind of just there. 3 copies of Evenly Matched, still a really strong blowout card. Bait out 2 negates, clear the board. 1 copy of Red Reboot, just always going to be a good card, and 3 copies of There Can Only Be One, because pretty much everything is a different type, like Spellcaster, Fairy, Machine, Fiend, like Psychic. Everyone thinks Mech Knights are like machines, by the way, it's hilarious. Like, you have all these different types, you're good with running this. Now, something I want to talk about really quickly is you could, in fact, run the little Trickstar package, which is a Light Stage and Korobane. I don't know how I feel about it right now, because I don't really want to make this 42 cards, and I don't feel like really cutting anything out. I feel like everything in this deck has a purpose, and that's kind of important to me, because I don't want to hear these things of like, oh, but I'm running this one of random card because it's good some other time. Like, no, pretty much all of these cards are going to be live 90% of the time, which is important. Alistair is always going to be, like, this whole top row is always going to be needed. Prankatops, even though it's like, you're going second, your opponent's probably going to have 1 monster one way or another. Phantasmate, like 99% of the decks right now run links in one way or another. These are always going to be live. These are dead, but we kind of have to unfortunately run these for the Red Eyes Fusion. That's kind of like the only bricks of the deck. Terraforming is always live. Meltdown's always live. Invocation's always live as long as you can get a way to get to Alistair the Invoker of Madness or Alistair the Invoker. You have Super Poly, which is going to be live at the very least on your own monsters, which is good because, again, attack with Makaba, attack with Purga Trio, activate Super Poly, make Elysium, attack for game, you know, whatever it might be. Red Eyes Fusion, hopefully we don't draw it because we don't want to really see these 3 cards. But if we do, again, we have that play as an option. We have Instant Fusion, which is always going to be live, either to link climb or for the fact of just making Thousand Eyes and take something from your opponent. Pot of Desires doesn't have a restriction where, like TTT, where we need for our opponent to do something. It's always live. Call by the Grave, set it first, set it second, always an option. Cosmic Cyclone, your opponent might not be running back row, but again, if they do, you need this card. Mind Control, just good. And 3 copies of Impermanence, because again, going first, going second, it's always a good card. So guys, thanks for watching my video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, let me know down below. I'm always willing to answer them. And until next time, guys, take care, stay safe, and hope you guys enjoyed.